All right, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Today's speaker,
Hi, Gary.
good morning, is Ryan Reid. He's Director of Sports Operations up at the Rantoul Family Sports Complex. Ryan is a Centennial graduate who returned home after receiving a business degree from Western Illinois University, way out there in the boonies out there. Before entering the world of sports tourism, Ryan was employed by the College of Nursing at UIUC. He found his passion working in tourism as the director of sports and events for Visit Champaign County, followed by a position with American Oil and Chemists Society, and eventually finding his way back to sports tourism with the Rantoul Family Sports Complex. He currently resides in Savoy with his wife Amber and two children, Madeline and Miles. Ryan, welcome to the club meeting.
Thank you. Thanks for the introduction, Carrie. So you don't have to stare at my face. I'm going to share my presentation here. Okay. Let's do that screen, I think. You guys see that okay?
Yep.
Okay. So assuming I'm sharing the right of these, I have both my screens up. I should have probably changed that. So welcome to the Rantoul Family Sports Complex. Our very first tournament is this weekend. We are largely incomplete in construction, but we are ready to go for our first baseball tournament. So we'll have just about 60 teams coming in from 7 different states. And we're really excited to say that Champaign, Mahomet, St. Joe, Monticello, Farmer City, Rantoul, of course, and a few others in the area will be competing as well. So it's exactly what we thought would happen. And we're pleased to say that we have every single weekend booked this year from April to October, which I thought was maybe ambitious with COVID laying in the background, but I'm glad that sports are coming back. And timing for us couldn't have been a little more than perfect, just because we got to kind of see what people were going through. And luckily, COVID is, while it is affecting us largely with bookings, we still have a full calendar, which is really great. When I started, we started in, there we go. So July 25th, I started just about July, and I took this drone video. Had I known Daryl was going to be here, I got to just give kudos because he's the best drone pilot in town. So don't judge me here, but this is what the facility looked like when I began. Now we're at about 99% completion, and I just took some rough video, so hopefully you guys can see that okay. So I took some rough video yesterday with 20-mile-per-hour wind, which is a little heavy for my small drone, but you're looking at our championship soccer fields and onto our north quad of baseball diamonds. So the facility has 10 baseball diamonds total for baseball, softball, and 8 soccer fields. Soccer fields are all NCAA regulation size fields, and everything, including the infields for these diamonds, are actually synthetic turf. It's probably some of the best turf that money can buy. We actually had U of I football leadership out a couple weeks ago to look at the football side of the complex to consider bringing Camp Rantoul back. And they made a comment that our turf is probably nicer than theirs, which felt pretty good. The complex is pretty unique with a few features, but just in the interest of time, I'm not going to talk about all the things that truly set us apart, but I'll kind of just follow this quick video. So we're moving south here to our south quad. Those fields are a little smaller. They're at 300, and we actually have one field that's dedicated to fast pitch women's softball, so that fence line is at 225. And then the north fields, they are 3 of them are at 375 to center, and the largest is 395. So we can actually host anything from a U8 baseball game all the way up to a minor league competition. So we really, when building this complex, we wanted to make sure that we served all of those different age groups, because we are going to see quite a bit of travel. There's the wind taking my drone a little bit. So the big question is, are we going to be ready in time? We'll have a couple parking lots ready. Our playground is ready to go. We have a splash pad as well, which you're all probably familiar with at Hessel Park. So we're really excited to have that for the community of Rantoul. It's one of very few splash pads in the area. The drone now is pointed at the south soccer fields. Luckily, those don't have to be done until mid-May, but total completion for the project was shooting right around those 2 weeks anyway. So we're currently flying over the main building where I'm sitting in, and then circling to those south fields. Again, everything is 100% synthetic turf. We have the best LED lighting that we think money can buy. Those are actually the same lights that they have at Lucas Oil Stadium and at the Vikings Stadium. So we're pretty proud to have them. And they are at 30%, they are brighter than the lights that we have at our other ball diamonds. So at 100%, they're TV quality lights, which is pretty great. Circling around here again to give a better view of this hospitality hub, as we're calling it. So our splash pad, our playground, flying over our 2 challenger fields. One of the things that we're really passionate about is Special Olympics and adaptive sports. So we wanted to give them real synthetic turf fields, which will be finished here in a couple weeks, along with real foul pole lines, 8-foot fences, good bases. And then, of course, we're flying back over that North Diamond. Our portable fence line is up right now for the different age groups that are going to be in there. And then lastly, it circles around to one of our really, really cool things that we're doing on our 2 championship fields. We have these giant LED video scoreboards. And this one here is sponsored by Pepsi. The other one is sponsored by Bank of Rantoul. So we're really lucky to have some sponsorships and partnerships in place already. But those video boards are 20 by 24 foot. It's roughly the same size as Weston State Farm Center. So we're pretty proud, and that video is going to end here, but pretty proud of what that looks like and all these really cool different amenities. This next slide here is just a quick shot of what I'm putting together for staff that lays out the complex in its entirety. So you're looking at all of our diamonds here, and then our fields 1 through 8, and then the hospitality hubs in the middle. So the brilliance of this design is that all the parking lots are in the middle. So if you can't walk far or you need help walking, at least it's only a 3-minute walk. But the good news is we do have some gators. We have a really great partnership with AHW and John Deere, and they're actually giving us all of our equipment, mowing equipment for where we do have natural grass, and all of our gators at a 0 down lease. And we get new equipment every year. It's very similar to the program they have with DIA. So we're really fortunate that they were interested in that partnership, and it's been a really, really great opportunity for us. This is my favorite slide to show, and since we're in Champaign, thought I would give you the most iconic building that I possibly could here, just to kind of show you guys what the size of this complex is. When people say, well, what really is Rantoul building? A couple ball diamonds? And my response has pretty much been, actually, it's pretty incredible. Sports tourism facilities are popping up all over the country, and it's a $66 billion industry. And so we're happy now that the county is going to have a good chunk of that revenue coming our way. We were talking about Peoria earlier. They have Louisville Slugger. It's a 26-acre facility, and they only host baseball, and we will compete very well against that complex. And they've been one of the very few in the state for quite some time. So I love this comparison, but size-wise, if you look at it, acreage is virtually the same. I just took a quick grab from Google Earth. So if you look at E14 all the way past State Farm Center to DIA headquarters right next to Ubben, that entire rectangle fits inside our square. So it puts perspective on where this is. And if you haven't seen it driving north on 57, the Holiday Inn Express is right here. And then eventually we're hoping to see more development in this area. And I'll talk about that really quickly in a second here. So overall impact, I think this is really the greatest question. And you're the first group in Champaign that I've had an opportunity to speak with. And I'm really thankful for that, because it is going to influence greatly Champaign and Urbana as well. I was actually just at the Home 2 Hotel, which is arguably, other than I guess the Best Western Savoy, is the furthest south hotel from where the complex is located. And they have teams every single weekend from April to October. So to say that we're influencing Champaign is pretty true. And we knew that was going to be a possibility, because what we're looking at in our county is we have roughly 4,200 hotel rooms, and we are going to be filling them pretty frequently. Our average guest count, I think, will be anywhere from 2,500 to 5,000 people a weekend this year, but some of our weekends are going to reach up to the 10 to 15,000 range, and maybe even up to 20, depending on what we're hosting. So this weekend we have baseball. Next weekend we have baseball, softball, football, and lacrosse all running at the same time with a largely unfinished complex. So the parking lots will be done, concessions will be open, which is really, really great, but we still have a few things that we need to finish up. So of course, there's an increase in visitor tax. That's the whole main point of this project. It's going to be great for lodging, fuel and motor tax, restaurant hospitality will increase, and of course, sales tax from people shopping at places like Dick's Sporting Goods in the mall area and things out there. We know hotel motel tax is going to increase, which is really great in itself because I think 1% of that tax goes to the school system. So every school in the county receives a portion of that, and we're really thrilled to announce that we're going to increase that quite a bit. I'm guessing based on experience, and truthfully, I don't know what to think due to COVID, but I would imagine by 22 or 2023, we'll see 1 million visitors a year. So we'll only be second in sports tourism to U of I, but I think we will slowly catch them, especially as we consider expansion. We'll also increase the visibility for Rantoul and Champaign County, which is really great. You hear Jane DeLuce talk about this quite a bit at Visit Champaign County. This is another great thing to just that we know that we'll see regional, national, and possibly international events, and we're definitely going to pursue anything that we can. And then, of course, it's increasing the quality of life here in Rantoul specifically. We all know this is an impoverished community, and there's a lot of job opportunity. There's a lot of things that Rantoul has going for itself. And what I've been telling everyone with this project is it's time to stop lamenting the loss of Chanute. It's been too long already, and it's time to get past that. And Rantoul is making some really great efforts in their overall development, and this is just another one of those projects. So we're a technology-driven facility. So along with having the best turf, the best lighting, and some really unique amenities, we're also really technology-driven. So we're going to work with different U of I departments. We're working with Gil, which is just down the street, on all of our technology. So all the equipment that we have, whether it be the goalposts for soccer or the uprights for football, down to our dugouts, everything is new technology that we hope to continue to do. And we're somewhat of an A&D plot for them. So if they have something new, they're willing to bring it out and try it out at our facility first, which we think is really neat. And really, Rantoul, and absolutely, I mean, pun intended here, Rantoul is ready to play ball. We've been promoting Champaign County as this area of innovation, specifically with what happens in Champaign. And we're ready for this complex to mimic that effort, that marketing effort, that we are this great technological community. So really happy to be a part of it. I was really honored that they asked me to run it after having helped kind of get the concept off the ground. And then the last page that I really wanted to share with you, and I'll take some questions because I'm skipping over a lot, but in the interest of time, I could talk about this place for hours. But lastly, is just the overall development project for Rantoul. So in the red here is all of our commercial development that will be available. All those squares are essentially available lots. Some of them have been scooped up. Right here is actually going to be a mini golf facility called the Fringe. They're going to have two 18-hole mini golf courses, golf simulators, arcades, food, and a second level deck. So we're getting kind of a Wrigleyville vibe with their deck that's going to overlook our championship baseball field. So we're really excited for that. Another major change is OSF is investing in the area. They put an ergo clinic in. That should be open within the next couple months, and it's going to serve the complex as well. But it's really great for really the county up here, because what a lot of people don't know, and I didn't learn until I lived here, is that there's one ambulance for Rantoul and all of the small towns surrounding it, including Fisher, all the way and closer to Gibson. They have their own hospital. But I'm really surprised that was the case. And so now they're increasing just the overall ambulance time and what they're capable of here, which I think is a really great thing too. And then you'll see a big plot of residential development in yellow. So again, we're talking about more homes, larger homes, increasing jobs, increasing opportunity. And it's only a matter of time before we see development really talk. COVID slowed down a few things for us. We only had one person. We have 250 plus people working out here, and only one person in the last year and a half had contracted COVID outside. Didn't bring it into anyone else. We've been largely healthy, but COVID has slowed down delivery of items, as I think we all know is happening nationwide. And then the only other factor for us in our slowing down of the completion is you can't put 90 square feet of turf down while it's over 30 miles an hour with wind, and we've been dealing with that quite a bit. So luckily, we're back on track. Our turf guys have worked 42 straight days now, including Easter, to kind of get this all done in time, which I really appreciate their effort. But that's our complex in a nutshell. I know the major questions now are when are hotels and restaurants going to come up? And again, those conversations are happening. We've had conversations from everything from indoor water parks and casinos down to mom and pop ice cream shops. So I think that if you can get past the concept that Rantoul is too far away, we would love for everyone to know that they're more than welcome to come use the complex, see the complex. And I know that from conversations, we don't ever expect anyone to sort of lose their hometown fields. We know that Dodds is still widely going to be used. We don't expect every league to come play softball up here, but we do want people to realize that the opportunity is here to rent and use these fields. So I'll leave it at that. And if you have any questions, by all means, please ask away.
Ryan, I love this. This is awesome. It's so cool. I didn't realize it was going to be so big. Can you go back in time a little bit and explain how, like, who funded all this and how it got going?
Sure. Yeah. So Luke Humphrey is the director of recreation and kind of one of really the kudos, a lot of kudos goes to him and Andy Graham, the assistant director of rec. They've always wanted to improve their ball fields and to make them as nice as Dodds Park, because Dodds is arguably, I'll say that Dodds Park is the nicest natural grass field you're ever going to find in the state, if not the Midwest. And so when Scott Eisenhower, the new administrator, came in, they said, hey, we've got this wild idea. Let's go for it. And he said, okay, we'll think about it. But as you look at development, he thought, what's a driver? What's really going to bring people in and what's really interesting people? And again, it's a $66 billion industry. So why not try the travel tourism market? So he talked to the mayor about it. They collectively all said, yeah, let's go for it. And how it's being paid for is we took out a municipal bond for a new capital project. So not a single taxpayer dime really is going into this unless you shop in the TIF district. So no income tax, no increase in taxes for the citizens of Rantoul. We're essentially going to charge the visitor to make the complex successful and pay for itself. So the hotel, I'll get a portion of the hotel motel and fuel motor tax back to the complex in the TIF district. And then some of that sales tax will go straight to the complex directly. So that's how it's going to be funded. And then to keep it running in the black, we're going to do that by rental fees, concessions, and then bringing in advertisers and sponsorship. And I'm pretty happy to say that we have multiple sponsorship levels, and every scoreboard is now with the side of one challenger field. I think I have somebody for it. It has been locked up. And so really the big thing we're looking for, and we're having some success on interested folks, is a title sponsor for the complex, which is a $10 million sponsorship, but it's $1 million over each year over 10 years for that. And so it's not unlike what they have at State Farm Center. I think they're 60 over 30 or something like that. But so that's obviously the hard one to find, but we've already found a bunch of really interested sponsors. And so that'll kind of help keep us in the black too. What I keep telling everybody is we just need to be in the black by $1. As long as it's interesting, if it's interested for people to come develop, then we're really doing our job. Now, if I want to raise, I need to be in the black a little more than $1, but largely that's how it's all going to be paid for. So it's very thrilling, because I think the biggest misconception here in Rantoul specifically is we're paying for this, and really, unless you're going to boycott Walmart, you're not paying for it. So that's how it's being paid for. Yep.
So I got a couple of questions. One is you showed the schematic of State Farm Center, but in terms of acreage, how big it is. The other thing would be, are the tournaments that are going to be going on out there, are there going to be subcontractors that'll be involved in organizing that and being involved with that?
Yeah.
And the other thing would be, I'm guessing and if you have subcontractors, they're going to be challenged with officiating, I would think, but I'm not sure how that's going to play. Sure.
So right now, officiating is always a sore subject, right? It's in itself, it's its own little epidemic that we're kind of dealing with, because people don't really treat officials very nice. But that, Rob, I can tell you a little bit. We plan on taking care of those people, because officials. So I worked really close with IHSA Wrestling when it was in town, and taking care of the officials is great. That's one of the only reasons why we continue to have IHSA Wrestling every year, is because we do a good job, and they know that when they come to Champaign, they're going to be well taken care of. And so at our complex, they have private break rooms, they have a lounge with TVs, showers, laundry service, all the amenities that will keep them really, really pleased. There are enough officials in our area. Our assigners pull from a couple hours away, well, not really that far, maybe Bloomington, Kankakee, those areas, but they largely are responsible for their refereeing. So some organizations like USU Soccer, who will be here in September, which is a massive nationwide win for us, they have to fly their officials in or drive them in from some of the bigger cities. So the cost there is gonna be a little more difficult. But all these different baseball companies, they've Game Day USA is one of them. They have 11 weekends here, and they still have 5 weekends at Dodds. They're confident with bringing in officials, and we're hoping that this opportunity, really, this complex will interest people in sort of that part-time job coming back and coming out and officiating. So right now, we haven't noticed too much of an issue with that, but hopefully it stays that way. But yeah, we are using primarily third-party companies and tournament providers to do their own tournaments. We will eventually host some of our own, but until we get this off the ground and kind of see how we're doing financially, we won't start that. But there is a lot of money in running your own tournament.
Ryan?
Go ahead, Larry.
I'm sorry, Bob. It's great to hear about inclusion of the challenger fields as part of the complex. Are there plans in the works for anything to host anything regarding Special Olympics?
So I have a pretty good relationship with Special Olympics. A couple of Centennial grads I went to school with work there, and I know the director well. We're trying. They were hit pretty hard, and they're right now they're not interested. It's hard to pull them out of Bloomington Normal, and we plan on doing that. And we've had conversations with Tom Jones as well. It's zero cost. So if they want to use the fields at all, it's completely complimentary for them to do so. And that's at state level as well. So if we bring in regional events, there may be an associated cost, but largely when it comes to any adaptive sport, we want to try to make that something that they can just do here whenever they want. And it took some arm twisting at the higher leadership level, but what I told them is there's no one more passionate, no one works harder, and quite frankly, they spend more money in concessions than anybody else in any other sport. So I said, we'll make that loss back in concessions. That won't be a problem. And we definitely had those conversations. They know that we're here. And so hopefully we'll turn up something soon. And Rantoul has their own dedicated team for Tom Jones. So hopefully we can get them to sort of lead that push to bringing people out here.
That's great. Thank you.
Yep.
Ryan, I think I might speak for many people that I knew this was going on. There was something being built up there in Rantoul, and that it was a sports complex. But the scale and quality of the thing has completely taken me by surprise. That is awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know if there just wasn't a lot of, either I missed it or there wasn't a lot of publicity about just what was going on up there.
Sure. Yeah. Well, so myself and my marketing director, Renee Wilson, who's a Champaign County local as well, we started a little late in the game, and there was a lot of stuff going on. And perspective wise, with Louisville Sluggers, a 26-acre facility, and they have 7 people on staff, and we've been asked to do it with 2 people. And so marketing has taken a bit of a backseat because we already had so many events booked. And then, so now, and it was hard to talk about an unfinished project because no one really understood kind of what we were doing. I had the Champaign, it's not Champaign County, it's the football league for the greater Champaign County area. And Jay Ramshaw, I'm sure many of you know the Ramshaw family. He came up here and he said, I won't say what he said, but he said, "Wow, this is amazing. I had no idea." And I said, "Yeah, it's hard to show you exactly what we're doing when it's all a big mud pit." It's pretty similar to when we tried to win IHSA basketball several years ago, and they had to see an unfinished State Farm Center. It's like, yeah, all right, well, maybe. Look at IHSA basketball now, right? They're like, oh, yeah, you really built something amazing. And so that's kind of where our push is going to be. I plan to speak to each city council in the community, talk to the county board as well, to give a presentation kind of about what that impact looks like. It's hard to grasp the concept of these things because I didn't have them growing up, which means your children largely didn't either. And even though they're popping up all over the country now, if you don't have kids who play in them, you kind of don't realize the quality and what they are. And so we thought, since there is, Louisville Slugger and Rockford and Grand Park, which is a massive complex in Indiana, just 2 hours away, to compete with them, we had to not skimp on anything. So like, for instance, our turf technology, we have turf coolant in. So if you've ever run on a track or played on turf, you know that if it's 90 outside, it's 105 at your feet. So we have a coolant on there, so that won't happen on our turf. So again, thank you, appreciate it, Scott. It's about as technology forward as we can make it, and I'm really excited to show people. And if you ever decided you wanted to have a meeting up here, I have an 800 square foot tournament room that you guys are welcome to come use, and then we'll give you a tour of the facility whenever everybody's comfortable. The nice thing is it's outside, so you have to put your walking shoes on, but I'd love to give you all a tour.
Thank you
Hey,
very much.
Ryan, I have a question for you. How will that impact employment within Rantoul? Do you have any estimates?
Yeah, it's I would say very, very well. Rantoul's doing a lot of really big things that people are kind of falling on the wayside, but I myself right now have 50 employees. Most of them are high school kids, which I don't know how excited I am for that yet. But with the increase in development, I see, I'm going to estimate that we'll have at least one hotel break ground by the end of the year. And I think that we'll eventually have at least 3 new hotels. So that'll create a couple hundred jobs. And then the conversations for development are incredible. I mean, so that old hotel, I'm blanking on what it was now, that eyesore right as you come off of 136, that bad boy is finally being torn down, and it's turning into a little strip mall. All 6 stores that are slated to be there are already full. So the developer of that project's already looking at 2 more strips to put into Rantoul because he has about 24 more people that are interested in different businesses in the area. So we're already talking about a couple hundred jobs right off the bat. They're also bringing in some other commercial real estate on the base. Some of the hangars are being sold. One project's really cool that I can't talk about yet because I just don't want to jinx it. It's not solidified. And then if you haven't heard about the acreage sale to the U of I, they sold 400 acres to the university, and they're opening the first driverless vehicle test track in the country here in Rantoul. And that fell largely off the radar too, which was pretty mind-blowing. But that'll create another 350 high-profile engineering jobs, and will bring really, we think engineers from all over the world to come check out that test track. So I don't know when that is going to start, but it's far southeast corner of the base, and there's going to be a lot of hunters who are mad their hunting grounds are going away. But job creation is going to be really incredible.
You know, we've all heard the Rantoul jokes, but who's laughing now?
Yeah, well, that's the other question a lot of people in Champaign keep asking me is the 2 things they say is, one, it's too far to go up there, and I think it's just because we associate Champaign or Rantoul rather with driving to Chicago. It's really not very far. And then the other is, why didn't we build this? And in Champaign and Urbana and some of the other communities, they already have development that are creating jobs and bringing people to the community. And so Rantoul's always been a little outside of the box. I think we know that. And they said, what are we really good at? And one of them is events. I mean, even with the closure of the base, they still have car shows and all kinds of things, in the farm show and all things that happen. And so Scott Eisenhower came from Danville, who loves large events and gatherings, said, let's do it. So it's definitely going to be sort of a who's laughing now thing, but it is important to remember that Champaign largely is going to see a huge influx of people, and every block this weekend in Champaign is full. So every hotel in Champaign has at least 2 teams in their hotels.
Ryan, what level of baseball are you bringing in, as far as high school or what type of team?
Yeah, so I mentioned it pretty briefly, and then when we talk about technology, we have movable baselines and movable fence lines, and some really cool amenities on those softball fields. So we can host anything from a U8, U9 game, which is pretty rare, all the way up to we can actually host a minor league game. So we'll be going after anything from youth baseball, which travels extremely well. It's most of our events this year, all the way up to NCAA Division 2 and 3 events, and some of those collegiate events as well. And if we can coax a minor league team to meet another team sort of in the middle and do a sort of a guest play, we can actually do that as well. So the answer is we're going to go after everything. We even put a bid in for with the Visitors Bureau for Quidditch, which is the fake sport in Harry Potter. But it travels unbelievably. So there isn't a sport or age group that we can't do. We're hosting the Champaign County Church League. Their softball's moving up here. They already have 25 teams booked. And then we're going to this is Rantoul's home field now. So all of our Little League games that are played will be out here. Some will still be at Wabash, which is sort of a family loved park, but I think eventually every competition we have, except for high school football, will be out here.
So
Can you talk about
if you
amenities?
have minor league baseball, just hypothetically, the U of I had a chance to do that, but they refused at the time to
Yeah.
serve beer. Are your facilities going to be able to do that to accommodate that scenario?
Yeah, that's a real big question mark right now. To my chagrin, actually, we went through the bid process. We selected a beer vendor, and I use the U of I largely as a great example. If we don't sell it, if we don't regulate it, people are still going to bring it in. It's huge in travel ball, and I know a lot of people feel that beer sales don't belong with youth sports, and I couldn't agree more. I understand the implication, but the very real nature is everyone around the country is doing it, and if we can regulate it, if you have 10 beers before noon and we're selling it to you, then we know that we need to keep an eye on you. If you're going out to your car and there's 6,000 people here, we're largely not noticing that that's happening. So the sale of beer at U of I baseball and other sports too, like football, the case study is that binge drinking has actually been proven to slow down and stop because you are allowing people to buy a beer inside the facility. So there will be some blackout events. Like during our Little League, we probably won't allow beer sales, but we're also running an 11v11 soccer league on Sundays. And I know that community well because I play soccer, and every one of them said, we can get a beer out there, we're definitely signing up. And so that community is great. Every Wednesday I play soccer, and we go afterwards, we go to Bunny's or Esquire. We grab a beer and some food and spend about $900, and everyone goes home. No one's chugging vodka or anything like that. It's just a casual drink or two. And so if we can, regulate it, I think it's a really good idea. It does make me nervous, but there's no data that shows that people are more aggressive with referees or other parents. We see that that's happening either way. So I know that the sale of alcohol won't improve that issue, but the police department's really excited to be out here. So there's always going to be a police officer on duty. And I have years of experience in the restaurant industry, and so I kind of know how to regulate people. So hopefully it won't be a problem. And I know it's a turnoff for some, but we're still pursuing it.
Kind of along those same lines, what are your facilities for visitors, and how many people can you maintain at one field at the most? And that, yeah, just get with that.
Sure. Well, right now with COVID, we're largely playing by the ballpark rules. So if you feel uncomfortable, don't come. So if you're not willing to wear a mask, or you're not feeling comfortable around people, 3 feet is the new minimum. So we're asking people to do that. And when it comes to overall capacity of the facility, again, it's 70 acres. I mean, when you look at the State Farm layout, that's how many people we can have in the complex at any given time. So think about what happens during tailgating. But our average weekend is going to be about a little less than 5,000 people is my guess. And so for now anyway, but so largely each field can hold, 1,200 people. And it's going to be a rough first year because around all the fence lines, we'll have grass, but obviously that we have to wait for that to grow. So everybody will be really able to spread out. And then we will actually have a portable video board too. I think that's about 7 feet by 15 feet. And so if we feel like we're going to have overflow or need overflow, we can stream to that video board. So you can watch one of the baseball games on a soccer field if we need to spread people out. So largely we can host anywhere from, I think our max is like right around 60,000 people. I don't think we'll ever have that many, but that's what we're capable of.
Will you have like a central restaurant concession in the middle of it that where people, like I said, if you have an overflow, can they sit in and watch a baseball game and watch various games?
Sure. Yeah, well, that's the eventual hope. We're talking about phase 2 and 3 parts of the project. One of those is there's that big pile of dirt you saw in that video as an indoor, like sort of maybe a domed field. But along those lines too, we want to add TVs that stream the games to the concession area, which we think would be a lot of fun. We were at State Farm Center for a visit, and I thought, man, that would be really cool if we could do that. But we got to make sure we can run this place in the black before we add those things. But the main building that you saw in the middle there, that facility will have our main concession stand, and we will sell full concessions. So burgers and pulled pork sandwiches and chicken sandwiches, dogs, things like that. And then each quad in the baseball diamonds has their own concession stand. So they'll have all of the other capabilities, and then we will hot box those burgers and things out there. So we'll make them at the main kitchen and transfer them out.
That is awesome, Ryan. Thank you so much for joining us today. Everybody give him a hand.
Appreciate it.
Very cool complex. We're so excited to have something like that in the community.
Yeah.
Let me go ahead and I will close this meeting real quick. Maybe I will close the meeting. Let's see what I got behind here. I know you get to see my Monaco again. All right, where are we? And as I'm just spinning the spit of death, I wanted to share, here we go. So we have our speakers for next week are John Stark and Derek Munson from the Illinois Shakespeare Festival. So the Illinois Shakespeare Festival has a season for this year, so we're going to get to hear about it, and Mary Hobson is going to bring those to us. And Charlie, if you could give the four-way test for me.
Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? And for us, is it fun?
Wonderful. And based on that, thank you, Rotarians. Have a wonderful day.